Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TinyMCE full page HTML webinar, learning how to send robust marketing emails with TinyMCE. I got my good friend Fred here. How's it going, Fred?
Hello, everybody. Life is good, and I'm not alone. I also have Tails, my cat, which doesn't seem that he wants to watch us talk about email because he turned his back to us. But he's here. He's with us. I'm not alone. I'm good. How is life?
Life is good. It's rainy today. I don't know. It's that weird time of year where I live in central U.S. of like maybe it's fall, maybe it's summer. Winter will show up for a day and then go away. So all sorts of things are happening.
In winter time now. I'm based in Canada for people who do not know. So, winterland, and it started. So we have snow, we have temperature under 0 Celsius, so freezing temperature. It's not completely there yet, but winter is there. So it's the life where I live.
Let me get this in presentation mode and we'll get started. We're going to spend too much time on slideware. Slide. I never do presentation mode enough to remember. That's really funny. I'm a professional, I promise.
You can go in the slideshow.
There we go. The slideshow button. Perfect. Look at that. Okay. Full page HTML. That is the name of the webinar. Let's go to the next slide. Boop. Okay. Hey, everybody. Like we said, let's make this where you can see it. My name is B. Lawless. My tag on most social networks is Brad Lawless. I am the senior PMM at TinyMCE. And above me is Fred Harper.
This guy, Fred. Which I just realized that my title is so long compared to yours. Actually, I should use.
I abbreviated it. Technically it's product marketing manager, but yeah, just PMM. That works.
So yeah, I'm a relations manager at TinyMCE. Super happy to be here. My name is Frédéric Harper, and I'm F Harper on Twitter because I still refuse to say X for the title of that platform. And folks, thanks for joining us during the webinar. Please, there's a way to chat with us, to ask questions, to comment. Please do that during the webinar. It's live, so we are here to answer your question.
And I'll be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions and there are some that I can answer just from there, I will. And if not, we'll make a list. I'll either interrupt Fred because sometimes that's necessary, or we'll save it and we'll have a Q&A at the end. All right. So to get started, if you've worked with us before, this will be nothing new for you. If you haven't used TinyMCE, it is a JavaScript-based rich text editor component, meaning we did all the hard work to build a rich text editor, WYSIWYG editor, if you will, that you can drop into any of your JavaScript-based applications. We work with all the major development frameworks, Angular, React, Vue, several others. We provide a cloud-hosted solution, or it can be self-hosted if you prefer to do that for security and compliance reasons. But you want to build cool stuff. Text has been around for a while. Editing text is, some people think, not that sexy. We love it a lot, but we want to keep you focused on your project, and you can just drop us in and go, and then not have to worry about it from there. That is literally. Go ahead.
I was going to say, even if you don't take it sexy, you need it. You need to have rich text editor within your application. In most use cases and most things you're building, you're going to want your end users to be able to create some kind of like content that is not just like basic text. You need to have fonts. You need to make things bold, change color. You need to indent stuff, make bullet points. Like there's so many things you want your users to do. So even if you don't find it sexy, it is useful. You probably need it.
Yes. I mean, your users have been using, Microsoft Word. If you're our age, not for their whole lives, but most of them will say have been using Word or Google Docs for their whole lives, and they expect that experience. So that is what we help you do. We fit in a lot of different use cases. Today, we're going to talk about email newsletter editing, where not only do you need some formatting, but a lot of times you're going to have a lot of inline CSS. You're going to want to be able to manipulate that so that email shows up exactly as pretty as it was when you made it in your editor. It shows up the same way and presents in your recipient's inbox. We're going to go through several different features of TinyMCE. So all of our features are built on a modular type framework. So you can just basically turn a module on and it works for you. Some require a little bit of configuration. Things that work well for emails are templates, merge tags. So we're going to look at our code editor, Inline CSS, and then our newest feature, full page HTML. We also have an AI assistant. We'll mention that a little bit, but we have a brand new version of AI coming out next quarter, Q1 of 2026. So we have links in the presentation. You can go read about that, but we're not gonna have a whole lot of demo in today's webinar of that. So without further ado, okay, they're all the links that I talked about. I forgot that was there. And the presentation is also available to download here from the session. And I'll include a link in the follow-up email that you will all receive once we're done. Now, without further ado, I am going to figure out how to stop sharing my screen.
And I'm going to share
that. I can manage technology.
That's good because technology is hard. With that said, also, we're trying a new format for the webinar. We used to do a webinar 1 hour long. And, if you're like me, you may have a short attention span. And maybe as much as I found BNI interesting, listening to us for an hour may be too much, especially everybody's busy. So we decided to try to keep it around 30 minutes. We'll see, because we both talked a lot, BNI. So we'll see how it goes.
Me too.
But I'll try to keep it short today. I have a couple of demos I want to show you. And first, I want to thank on our team. So I'm being lazy right now for the webinar. I'm using code that Coco created for a future blog post that's going to be available. So the good thing is that what I'm showing you today, the tutorials are like the step-by-step, and the fact that I'm going to have plugins, I'm going to demo how to add them to your code or how they're working. If you want to replicate this at home and you don't have the time to ring the webinar because you're listening, soon I'm going to publish the blog post with what I'm showing today and even more information. And it's going to be a step-by-step tutorial, so you're going to be able to go step-by-step through everything that I'm doing. So one would say that I'm lazy, I'm using Coco's code. Someone else would say I'm efficient, so I didn't have to create the same code. So what do we have right now? It's I'm running a local application built with React and Next.js. It's not a complete full-fledged email client right now. It's mostly just the compose and the send email functions that are working, but it's connected to Resend, which is a pretty cool startup out there, having email APIs. So you can use them to send email and do a lot more things. But right now I have an interface that already have TinyMCE in it, like a basic version. I defined the toolbar, and this is what most of the tools you have create rich text when you send email. And it's a tool that is working right now. So if I enter my very long email here and I send an email, that's going to send an email. And if I go here, yes, it is white. So it's black to white. Gmail is the only place that I keep the white theme instead of like a dark one. But you see, I was able to send an email. So just to show you that it's working. And if I look at the code, what I have in my code right now is, as I said, it's a React application. So I won't go in all the details. And if you don't know React, is fine. You don't need to understand everything that is in that application. But to make it happen, if I'm not wrong, the initial email application has like a text area, basic text area. So we created a custom component that is basically TinyMCE, us initializing TinyMCE, also having like all the plugins and configuration that we want. So we call it editor client, and this is where TinyMCE is being loaded after I imported it from my editor clients file here. So I have the editor clients here where I define my public key that I put in a NVM file. And here, this is what you usually see most of the time in any configuration. I'm going to have my API key, and I'm going to be sure that I load the script. I'm using also the TinyMCE React SDK that we have, the client we have. And here I'm initializing, setting a hey, saying that, you know what, usually I want the menu bar, but in my email client, maybe I don't want that. I just want the toolbar, and I want the toolbar to be on the bottom, not on the top. And I'm starting with some plugins that I felt like they were part of a basic email client and define the toolbar. So that's kind of like the way to go to have my tool here. But you're going to see it's fine. I can add bold and I can add like italic and I can change the alignment and, basic stuff that I want to do in a normal email client. But what I want to do today is really trying to move that to the next step. And there's a couple of things we can do for the next step. So I'm a developer. The first thing I want to do is to have a way to see the code of what TinyMCE is generating. So the first thing I'm going to do, I can just have the code plugin and have code in the toolbar. And that's going to give me in my application, if I refresh the page here, I'm now going to have that little icon and I'm going to be able to see the source code. So nothing super exciting right now. I only have like one paragraph with write your message here, but maybe also I want to use the enhance code editor because there is some that I liked with it. And that's also going to help us to make your life a little more easier with that demo right now. So if I had the ADV code here, I refresh. Now I have something a little bit different. So I can go dark mode, light mode. I can try to format the code, which doesn't make sense or I don't have right now, but copy code is just like a code viewer on steroid. So that's the first step for me. It's not totally related to having a proper email experience, like if you're building a newsletter, if within your application you want to have email features, but that's going to help us to show in a better way what's next. So if I go back to my email client, what I want to do when I send emails, actually, let me go back to the code. As you see right now, if I go back to the code, I only see basically what is in TinyMCE. So just the content that is in TinyMCE, usually what you would see within the body of a HTML page. With email client, if you had to send email in the past, not just within your email client, but I don't know why I say hi email all the time, but email client, within an email client, if as a developer, you build those features within your application, that like to send a proper HTML email, you need to have the full HTML code. And this is not what I have out of the box with TinyMCE, because most of the time we don't need that. We only need the content that was created by our users. But for email, it's different. So one thing I'm going to do, which is a new plugin that we released recently, it's the full page HTML. So I'm going to have the full page HTML plugin. So I'm adding that to the list of my plugin, and I can also add that to the full page HTML to my toolbar, because there's also pretty cool option with that. So again, if I refreshed it, two things are going to happen. So here, if I go in the source code, oh, there's something new here. Now I have the doc type, I have the HTML, the head, the full body, the HTML, which is the output that now, if I try to get what is coming from TinyMCE, what's my user created, I'm going to have that full HTML code that will be generated by TinyMCE, that will be given to me by TinyMCE, which is what I want for email. So that's one of the first things that is pretty good. And if you don't use the code plugin or the enhanced code editor, you still can modify, or people that may not be, a little less technical, that don't want to play with HTML code, you have that little toolbar icon where you can add metadata and documents property to manage the title, keywords, description, robot tags, order, encoding. So a couple of things that if you need the full HTML code from what was created within TinyMCE, those are probably things that you want to define. So I can define them there. And let's say I had a title, test title here. I'm going to save that. Once I go in my code, it's up there. So it's a perfect mix between, it's useful for people that don't want to play with the code, and you still have the result within the source code option.
Yep. And it's worth reiterating again, if you don't think that particular little button with the really well-defined fields is helpful, if you're always going to be going into the HTML and doing things, so easy to take out. You just do exactly that, and voila, you have changed your toolbar.
It's not there anymore. So yeah, that's the benefit of being able to manage like what you want in the toolbar, what kind of plugin you want. As you've seen, most of the plugins we have is just a question of like, adding, removing something from the plugins, or adding, removing something from the toolbar. There are some other extensions that we have, some other plugins that we have that may require a little more work, and I'm going to show you 2 of them today, but most of them are like that. It's really, really straightforward. Another thing that is useful if I'm building an email client, if I'm building email feature within my application, is that if you had the quote unquote pleasure of doing that as a developer, there are some kind of rules that you learn basically the hard way. And one of them is that most email clients will strip the style block from your content when you send it. So not all of them, but most of them. So here, if I go and I put this bold, and I look at my source code, I'm going to have strong here, but like I can add styling, and it may not end up in the email client has the style that I want. So one of the things I want to do is to use Inline CSS, which is another plugin that you can activate within TinyMCE. So here I'm going to add Inline CSS as a plugin. And what I'm going to be able to do now, if I refresh again and I go here, I can add, as the title say, inline CSS in there. So here I'm going to be lazy and I'm just going to copy paste my way too complicated CSS because there's way too many information for something that simple. It's just to show you that like everything's going to be there. And if I save that, I have some inline CSS within my code that is displayed right now in TinyMCE, which means that if I send an email right now, so if I go again, Tygo Tech, which is my email. So now everybody got my email. So if you have question after the webinar, you know how to reach out to me. And I do test number 2 and I send that email. I'm going to go here. I'm going to refresh that. And you're going to see that is red, that is yellow, and everything worked perfectly. So the email that I sent was how it was created and written in TinyMCE.
But it's probably worth saying here. Sorry. Fred's an amazing developer, but don't take graphic design hints.
Oh, please don't. Please don't. Like when I was a full-time developer, there was a joke at every jobs I had. So I was pretty good about doing like the business logic. But after that, I was sending my code to a designer because, yeah, I'm going to create amazing features, but that's going to be ugly as hell. So, thank you, B. I appreciate that. And the last 2 things, so like what I've shown you right now, the full page HTML, the inline CSS plugins, there are things that you really need to have when you're building email capabilities within your application, because you need the fully being able to send the email. If you do some like better design than mine, you're going to need inline CSS because email client is going to be able to render what you have and that's going to be able to strip stuff. The code editor, it's mostly like to have the inline CSS, but also for me as a developer, I like to see it. And that can also really show you the benefit of the full page HTML. But some people expect more stuff from email clients or email functionality within your application. So I want to show you 2 other plugins that we have that are specifically amazing for email creation. So the first one is merge tag. So if I go in my code here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have in my plugin list, again, those are the things that I work the most with, the plugins and the toolbar, and I'm going to call it merge tags. And with the merge tag is one of the plugin that is quote unquote a little more complicated, not in the sense that like it's complicated to implement, but it's not just about adding plugin and toolbar. Because what is a merge tag is when you send email, let's say you build a newsletter and you want to send customized email to everyone and you have, 100 people to send the email. You don't want to create 100 emails and say, hi, Fred. So you've been at a conference. How was it? And hi, B. So you've been at a conference. How was it? No, you want to have something like, hi, first name. You were at a conference. So how was it? And you are sending that email personalized with all the people. So to do that, you need to define some kind of tags that your user is going to be able to use. So in that case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to merge tag list. And I don't even have to provide the function name because I gave my function the same name. Here, what I could have done is just had a JavaScript array here, an array with all the merge tag information. I wanted my code to be a little bit more clean. So what I've done is that I imported the merge tag list from a file that I created before. It's open here. And it's, as I said, it's an array. And what I need to define here is categories of merge tags, and also what are the merge tag and how do I show them to my user. As an example here, I have a category which is compliance, and I don't know if people correctly, but I have compliance and footer here, which is a category of merge tag that I have. And in my case, I will show to the user unsubscribe link, but once I'm going to have that merge tag, it's going to add unsubscribe as a tag. So maybe you don't totally understand what I'm talking about. So let me go to the demo because we are visual creature and that's going to be really easier to understand. So here, let's say I'm writing a post email for conferences attendee, which is one of the only emails I send in batch as a DevRel just to folks that I met. So I'm going to say like, hi. And here I have that new option and I'm going to go customer first name. And I'm going to say blah, blah, blah. You can also be a better writer than me. So if I go in the code here, you're going to say that it's still there and it won't be striped. So when I'm going to export this is what I'm going to get from my email. So obviously I don't want to send an email directly like that because I'm going to receive the email and it's going to be hi first name, blah, blah, blah. What you want to do after that is like take the content and your developer will be able to use that content and iterate toward the list of contact and all the like metadata that they have about that contact to replace the merge tag with the proper information. So super useful when you're sending the same email to multiple people. And that's not it. There's a lot of things that I can do. So you can define your list. I can have unsubscribed link here. And I can have like some more compliance where I'm going to be like the company address going to be here. And those are all information that you don't want to type manually. You want to get them from a database. So today, for the sake of the webinar, I'm not going to connect this to the database. So it's why I hard-coded it in a JS file here with what I want to have in the merge tag. But that's the first step. As I said, once you have the merge tag, you need to be able to, on the developer side of things, like once you click send, instead of sending directly the email, you're going to have to do some magic to mix the merge tag and replace it with the proper data that you want to send to your multiple contact. So that's one way to save time. The other one, which is one of the things I like the most, has someone who has to send a lot of email. Part of my job is the templates plugin. So now we have merge tag, but sometimes send the same email to a couple of people. And if you're a little bit, let's say, efficient and not lazy like me, but efficient, you don't want to write them the same thing all the time. So you're going to use the template plugin, which again, it's going to make your life easier. So here, what I'm going to do, the name of the plugin is ADV template. So I'm going to add the plugin here and not at the right place this time, add template. And there is different items that I can add in the toolbar. What I'm going to do right now is simplify the demo, and I'm just going to add the insert template button here and with a proper space. And I'm going to add insert template. And I also need to define a callback function. So the same thing I've done with merge tag list. And that's going to be called ADV template _ templates. And because, again, I didn't want my code to be too complicated, I called the function, or in that case, that's going to be the information, the data coming from my file. ADV templates and templates, and I load it from my template.js here. So what I have, it's another array with all the templates that I define it. So type of templates, the list of items in my template. So this one's like customer onboarding. Like if I send customer onboarding email, I'm going to have welcome new subscriber. And this is my content. Keep in mind that it need to be in HTML because this is what TinyMCE create in terms of like the format of the content created within the editor. And I have like different templates here. So again, visual creature, we need to see what I'm talking about. So if I go here, I have that little stem tool right now. And if I go here, I have different categories of template, and I can say welcome new subscriber, and I insert that, and voila, lazy me is happy. I have my email that I wanted to send to any customers. But I can also try to mix stuff. If I remember well, I can go here and I didn't have an example. I took it up. There we go. I thought I have one. Okay, so I little mistaken here. I wanted to show you that what I could do within my template, I could have also a tag. So I could be here, and that could be my template already. So I could mix the merge tag with the features. So it's easier for me to create an email that I send often because I have a template, and it's easier for me to customize and make it my own and make it specific to the receiver, the emails I send from the template too. So you can pick and choose what makes sense altogether. And again, if I look at the code, this is what I have right now because I'm using the full page HTML. So those, from a point of view, obviously, you can use a lot more plugin. You can continue to customize your to send email. But if you want the basic to be successful, Enhanced code editor that give you a better view of the code. Developers will love that. Page HTML because you need to have the full being able to send the email so email clients understand what it is. Inline CSS because you're probably better than me at designing email, and you don't want just like a text-based boring email with no formatting at all. So that's gonna help you because a lot of things will be striped from by email clients. So in that case, it's better to have inline CSS. And if you want to take this to the next level, merge tags, meaning that like if you send newsletters, that's going to make your life easier to customize them or to not have to write everything down and just take some part of the information that are repeating in all the emails you send from a database, and templates because you want to save time for the people you work with and make it easier for them to send the same kind of email to many people.
And, outside of, being a little lazy, great use cases for all of that. Like you said newsletters, customer service, customer success, right? A lot of times people, if they're calling in with the same type of issue, well, you're going to send a fairly templated format email anyway, right? Thanks so much for calling us. We've resolved your issue this way, or please take these steps. You can do that, save people a lot of time. I had another thought. Oh, and just brand compliance. Right, for newsletters and for other things, it's not just saving time, but you want to have a consistent look and feel for your brand colors, for how text is displayed in certain ways. Maybe make sure that you're using certain fonts, and you can enforce all of that using templates and inline CSS, and then verify it with page. So we did a whole webinar in 30 minutes. That's really great because you like to talk a lot. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Sure you don't. Not at all. Quite a few folks we had join us today. Want to give y'all a chance. This feels like pretty straightforward, things. So you may not have a lot of questions. Going to have our wrap-up slide here. So if you're not a current TinyMCE user, you can try the features that Fred just demoed, along with every feature we have free for 14 days. Going to our site. Link again is in the slides that are attached, and we get in a follow-up email. So don't even worry about it. We'll make sure we get you the info. Also, we have a shiny new developer center, relatively new. It's been around for a couple of months. Fred and our content team and I are working hard to bring you all sorts of code snippets, tutorials, videos like this will eventually be on there, or at least linked to YouTube from there. Everything that you hopefully need to get up and running with in your application.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I know you were going to say like anything else you want to add, Fred. I don't even wait for that. I'm jumping it right because you said I like to talk. But now that you all have my email too, feel free to reach out to me if there is anything. I'm gonna be more than happy to help you or send you in the right direction. Also, if you try those plugins or anything else, I'm always looking for real hard feedback. Positive because I like it. I like to bring positive feedback to the product team, but also if there are things that you feel like could be improved, if you are having issues, those are important. I need to know them because I can work with the product team to be sure that we fix those or that it gave us more ideas for future release. So I'm as I like to call myself, I'm the friendly, social, technical, approachable face of the company. So always feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, LinkedIn, or now by email.
That sounded very well put together. How long did it take you to come up with that and remember it all?
I've been saying that for more than 10 years when it
I bet
comes
you
to,
have.
yeah. When people are like, so, like, what is a developer advocate? My answer is like, I'm the friendly, social, technical, approachable face of the company. And this is basically like how I define myself. Obviously, it's way more complicated than that, but that's kind of my go-to phrase when I'm telling people what I'm doing.
So complicated. That's awesome. And we're really lucky that we have you here. TinyMCE has a lot of really great stuff coming up in 2026. Like I said at the top of the webinar, we will have a new iteration. Well, our current V1 of AI is AI Assistant. We'll have a much more integrated agentic AI solution coming at the end of Q1. Fred's got a lot of really great stuff coming up with and developer community for Tiny. So stay tuned. We'll have a lot of information after the new year on that. And I'm just going to check the chat one more time. Baram, thank you for your comment. Everything looks straightforward. I'm happy to hear that. And then also, I'm just randomly picking names here. Jordan, Madi, Makanko, Stewart. I probably missed somebody there, but thanks so much, y'all, and everyone else for joining us. We will leave it at that and then look forward to seeing everyone probably in January.
That sounds right to me.
Thanks for the time, everybody.
Bye, everyone.